Good morning. Welcome to the bird's nest. TGIF. Woo! We made it. Well, y'all know how I feel about my former pros with YouTube platforms. They are my favorites. And they are rallying behind Shedeur. But before I get into it, please like, comment, and subscribe for all your NFL recaps, news, and gossip. So, it takes these guys with all the guys I watch have professional level shows. So they can't just jump on YouTube like me or jump on camera like me, do a video real quick, a live, whatever, and post it. Unedited, all that stuff. They don't do that. Well, some of them do, and sometimes they do. But their content came out starting from, I saw I think I saw the arena. No, there's a new episode that just came out like overnight. So they were putting out stuff overnight, and I think I saw something yesterday. Like for instance, let me go back a little bit. So, yesterday I was afraid that the media was going to rip Shador to shreds over his speaking without words. And I think it was Get Up. From what I hear, they ripped him to shreds. Y'all know I don't watch stuff like that. So from what I hear, they ripped him to shreds on Get Up. But then I saw for myself that on the show that maybe comes after that on ESPN, it was more balanced. Dan Orlovsky did not approve of Shador doing that. And I don't think any of them approved of it, but Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Clark were very gentle with Shador and understanding of why he did what he did. I don't think any of them mentioned Rex, because Rex was on ESPN when he went on his rant. So it didn't turn out to be as bad. Even none of those things on ESPN even really went viral. No more viral than all the pro Shador content that came out yesterday from former pros. I love that. I love that. I love my former pros. So I had already watched Skip's episode. Yeah, these two different episodes. So, wow, he cranking them out. So I had already watched the episode from Skip talking about, I think he was talking about Dylan being named. Yeah, because the rumor had started. It wasn't confirmed yet. So Skip did an episode of the Arena Gridiron, and they were talking about Dylan becoming QB1. At that time, I think they assumed that Shador will be QB2, but having watched that show, I even mentioned this in the previous video, half of them didn't care about Shador being QB2. They were like, doesn't matter. QB1 is the aim. Backup, the level of the backup, doesn't matter. So they didn't know yet. So they put out, for that episode, they put out this fantastic promo video where they're talking, and even when I was watching that episode, I was like, everybody has the same opinion. I don't really like that. Even if I disagree with the opposing opinion, I prefer that to everybody having the same opinion. But everybody had the same opinion about Shador. Of course, they were talking primarily about Shador in that episode. And I was like, this is odd. But I think it might have been for the purpose of the promo. Like, they feel like they got to fight for Shedeur. They put out this fabulous video for the episode where they were all on the same page about Shedeur being him, and compared it. They had like a split screen with them saying the things they were saying on the episode, little snippets, and Shedor's Panthers game play, and how he lights up the sideline and the team is behind him and how Miles supports him. It was really awesome content, and that wasn't the only one. Multiple former athletes put out content on Shedeur in his defense. This is it before the talking thing. Well, Skip's was. Not everybody's was. Not everybody's was. So it balanced it out, and Shedeur stopped trending. And it was great to see some positive comments on. Positive posts about him. Really great quality posts. Understanding the situation he's in. Acho, Emmanuel Acho, is moderate. And so y'all hear me, y'all get on me sometime saying, no, he shouldn't bow down, no, he shouldn't do nothing. Because I'll be like, man, I need him to do whatever it takes to get on the field. Well, Acho is like that, except even though we're both moderate, he leans conservative and I lean liberal. But I understand him. I don't agree with him hardly ever, but I do understand him because I like to hear both points of view. All points of view. I want to hear it all. So, his content was like, Shedeur needs to toe the line. So Acho on the day before yesterday's show was there alone. And after the mouthing thing, Acho did a show and Shady wasn't there. And so we only had that moderate to conservative point of view. And it was very frustrating. It was frustrating to not have the other point of view and listening to Acho telling Shedeur to bow down. But they did a show yesterday because now you gotta, because we were lighting Acho up, and I believe even Dion Jr. lit Acho up. He said, what did he say? Something like the guy that fits in trying to teach the guy that stands out to fit in when you should want to stand out. Don't nobody want to fit in. So anyway, so people were coming at Acho, and I guess Acho said, okay, we got to do another show real quick, and Shady needs to be here. And he still stuck to his guns, and he feels that Shedeur needs to start acting like a quarterback, and that's cool. That perspective is fine. But Shady ain't having it, and none of the football players are having it. Okay, ain't none of the athletes are signing off on Shedeur changing to please the league. They not having it. I love that. But Shady came with that exclusive tea. And that made me feel so good, and I'm a try to maintain my composure going forward, because I get upset. I am a woman, I am a football fan and a tomboy, but I'm still a woman and a mom, and so I be getting upset when they treat them bad, and I be ready to go to Ohio and with my purse on my arm and cuss people out like Pilar probably wants to do. But the pros calm me down. I know that men and women think differently, and I like that they stay calm. Like, this ain't nothing to them. So, Shady said he spoke to Shedeur. And he didn't want to divulge their conversation, but to get the gist of it, what had happened was Shedeur is up in there knowing that he's the best quarterback. And everybody, all the pros think that. He is the best quarterback in Cleveland. He knew that when he went there. That's why he wanted to go. And he continues to prove it in practice. This is what Shady said. He balling out in practice. And he's not moving up. So, at the time that they shoved that mic in his face, now he already knows that there ain't nothing he can do to get Stefanski to put him in the head of Dylan. Nothing that he can do. I'm sorry, I'm to the side, but if I move my phone, it's, you know what well, anyway. There's nothing he can do to move up. So he accepted that Dylan was going to play first. Right? You come to terms with that? Okay, cool, good. I'm glad he's getting out there so he can go out there and be inconsistent just like he is in practice, like we always see every day. And then we can get him up out of there, and it'll be my turn. So that's where he was mentally. But then, just like Stefanski put him in that third game with the guys he knew he was cutting the next day, he cut his legs out from under him by keeping him at QB3. Shedeur was not prepared for that. And he was angry. And then they put a mic in his face on purpose. That's another thing that everybody's talking about. That was more content that came out yesterday. I always talk about my former pros. That refers to the players and the coaches. A coach was on some platform. It was a young lady who I don't know her. The coach was on there saying, why do they keep letting the media get to the third string quarterback? What is the point of that? Why are they doing that? And that's what they did yesterday. Stefanski comes out, announces that Shedeur is going to be QB3, and then they put a mic in his face. Had Shedeur spoken at that time, it was not going to be good. It wasn't going to be good because Stefanski trying to play with his mental. But the pros seem to think, I don't know if I agree with this, because it seemed to me like Stefanski got a pass to mistreat Shedeur. But the pros think that Stefanski's job is on the line and there's really no way for him to keep it. Because they said, the only way for him to keep it is for Dylan to ball out, which no one thinks is going to happen. Dylan will have to ball out for Stefanski to keep his job. If Dylan, he had to put him out there first because he picked him first. He painted himself in the corner. He picked him first, so he put him out there first. He didn't have to, but he did. And then if he doesn't play well, and then he put Shedeur out there and he balls out, they think Stefanski's going to get fired over that. So, I don't know. But, yeah, Shedeur could not talk at that time when those people put that mic in his face right after he found out that he would not be elevated to QB2. That bothered him. And it bothers the pros half and half. Some of them think that he should be QB2, and it's weird that he's not when you know you ain't putting Flacco back on that field. I mean, they're going to have to. If Dylan gets injured, Shedeur is inactive every week, which means he can't play. He is not allowed to play unless both quarterbacks go down in the same game. Then he can get out there. So even if Dylan gets out for an injury, it's going to be Flacco that comes in. And then everybody, well, depending on where the game is, if it's home, they're going to boo him. And if Dylan stinks up the place, they're going to boo him. Stefanski and the Browns, whoever is behind a mic always being in Shedeur's face in the locker room, whoever's behind that, and all the things that's going on, I don't know. I lost my train of thought. But, so, all the pros are riding with Shedeur, but I did appreciate that on the Arena Gridiron, they at least spent, the majority of the episode was about Shedeur, but They did spend several minutes, and I have not seen this anywhere. They did spend several minutes talking about Dylan. And talking about what he have to do in the game, and giving him his fair time, because nobody's been doing that. And I'll tell you what, who was it? I've been watching so many pro shows over, like this morning when I got up early, very early, and I watched the pro shows, and one of them thinks that Shedor's comment about seeing the play around the league and him knowing he could do that. It was Gilbert. Gilbert Arenas said that. We hadn't seen him in weeks. He must have been on vacation, but he's back. Gilbert Arenas said, nobody's saying this, but I think he was talking about Cam, the #1 draft pick. Because he thinks he should have been the #1 draft pick. And now you got the #1 draft pick out there stinking up the place. Cam struggling, y'all. They try to blame it all on his team, but the whole team is struggling, including Cam. Gilbert said, I don't know if it was Gilbert, he got the conversation going, but Cam is on his way to breaking a sack record. I know he got sacked 6 times in one game. I wasn't really keeping track, but that game, I happened to hear that he got sacked six times. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Well, maybe 3 now, because we're already at the next week. But Cam has 17 sacks in 4 games. Now, I love Cam, and I wanted him to ball out, but I never knew. I always said I got to see how it pans out. He came up into the conversation. Shedeur was the guy, and then Cam's name started coming up. I guess they were winning or something. Something must have been going on to cause Cam to rise in the ranks. And then I looked at him one time, and I said to myself, and I'm no pro, that he didn't look like an NFL quarterback to me the way Shedeur does. But let's see what happens. Well, it's happening. He's not elevating his team, and his owner finally, coach finally put the smack down on him too. You know how he talks slick in pressers, and even got into a fist fight with a teammate that everybody was aware of, and he spoke on it in the presser. After he called their team, what did he call them? ASS? I think he said they were ASS. The coach had to speak up and say he had to talk to Cam about how he talks about the team. So, I guess it was okay if he would have been balling out, but since you ain't balling out, you need to chill on all the talking crap about the team. So, hopefully that'll change, or I guess it's going to change. I don't know. We'll see. Another person that spoke out on Shedor's behalf, another former pro, was his dad. He already, Well Off Media, posted the video on Instagram, and they liked it. They were, bigging him up about doing what he did. They liked it. And Coach Prime commented that he loved it. In the comments. And then he got an interview coming out. I saw the preview already, where he is again saying, I loved it. So you know what that told me? Because y'all know, like I said, y'all be like, he shouldn't have to do nothing. You're right. You right. You know why? Because if Coach Prime says, I love it, even though I see that everybody else doesn't, I don't give a damn. It seems to me that their thought is Shedeur is going to be him. Shedeur going to be him. He is not changing for y'all. And if you don't want to play him for that, so be it. He'll go off and get rich doing something else. But he ain't changing for y'all. I like that. I love that. That made me feel good too. That made me feel safe, that they don't give a damn. about the NFL. Good. Because that's how I was feeling, because I wanted him to leave rather than take that treatment. But he wants to play, and he wants to play as Shedeur, not as Russell Wilson. That's who they want him to be, Russell Wilson. That's what they want. Because Shedeur is not the only one that takes heat. He's just the most popular player ever. So he's taking more heat than Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts takes heat. Lamar Jackson takes heat. They colluded against Lamar Jackson. So he takes a lot of heat with them braids and stuff. They don't like that. But now, we got our savior, though. We got a savior. We got the great white hope, Jackson Dart. He acts like all of them. So now they're going to have to contend with Jackson acting the way he does. And then how you going to talk about the black quarterbacks for doing the same thing that Jackson do. I can't wait to see how y'all figure that one out. Because I'm going to bring up Jackson every time you try to say something. Okay? So, until I hear you start getting on Jackson for being swag-tastic, I don't want to hear it about nobody else. Y'all need to leave Jalen Hurts alone. And Jalen Hurts is cool. But he wears jewelry. Boy, they hate that jewelry with a passion. Jackson wears jewelry too. What you gonna do? What you gonna do now? So, it was a very good day yesterday. It was very fantastic Shedeur content where it looks like these guys said, what the hell? Rex Ryan said, what? Some of them were very pissed off about Rex because they said he's saying things that can impact Shedeur's trade value. Why'd you say that? When you say something like that he's not studying, he's sitting in the back. They keep saying lazy, but he didn't say he was lazy. When you say stuff like that, then you're alerting other teams. Why did you say that? Who told you that? I think the Browns are behind all of this sabotage of Shedeur. And I like to think it's based in Kevin Stefanski not liking him, but why would the front office allow them to keep leaking negative stories about Shedeur, implying that he's dumb and Dylan's smart, allowing the media to get to him in the locker room when he's the third string quarterback, allowing them to get to him every day, overshadowing Dylan. That's what they did when he got named starter. They overshadowed him with that Shedeur thing. And Shedeur, the way he responded, overshadowed him even more. Why are they doing that? So whatever they're doing, it doesn't matter. They're painting themselves in a corner. Now, Mary Kay Cabot tried to warn us that if Dylan doesn't play well, they can go back to Flacco. No, you can't. No, you can't. You thought you could. I know y'all think y'all can collude out loud, and you're doing a pretty good job of doing that. But that would be the straw to break the camel's back. You can't go back to Flacco. Okay, Kevin? NFL owners, if you didn't want him in, you shouldn't have drafted him. But you did. He's in there. Now you're going to have to let him play. You can't go back to Flacco. So I don't care if he is QB3. When Dylan gets his 4 games under his belt, the guys on the gridiron have him going either 1-3 or 0-4. They're the only ones that have really taken a guess at it. That's the consensus. 1-3 or 0-4, and after that he's gonna be out. People gonna start booing him after that. So Shedeur's coming in. They don't have any choice. They can put somebody else in front of them, and then they're going to be the talk of the town again negatively. How much are you willing to tank your situation? And you know, it's very ironic. After I put out that video yesterday about stop clicking on their media, the radio station in Cleveland, I won't even say the name of it, where some of them are not anti-Shedeur, but most of them are, and they say very nasty things about him. But then again, they also wrote off Dylan too. But they say very nasty things about Shedeur. And yesterday, one of them, who also is on a show that I do watch, Ultimate Cleveland, and he has the takes that I don't like. He's an idiot. Jay said, "Why are we talking about the third string quarterback? It just is so disingenuous. Why do we keep talking about him?" And the other guy said, "Do you see how many views the videos get? Do you see how many clicks? Do you see 25 million views?" That's what he said. 25 million views on that video of Shador mouthing words. That's why we talk about him. They said it out loud. Why you can't talk nice about him? Why it got to be nasty? That's the part I don't get. Cause that's what the Browns are feeding them. That's why it's nasty. Cause the Browns directed it to be nasty towards Shedeur. They so weird. They are freaking strange. To But if they let him play, he is going to come in and save them. Not to mention, I don't know if I said this before on here, because I don't even really want to say it out loud and draw attention to it, but don't nobody be listening to me. I think, yes, I have said it on here, and I think it's going to continue. So, Shedeur said he's balling out in practice. That's what he told Shady. I'm balling out, and they won't let me move up. I'm balling out, bro. I'm the best quarterback they got. That's what Shedeur said. That's what Shady implied. I won't say Shedeur said it, because Shady said he ain't going to tell us what Shedeur said. But he gave us the gist of the conversation. He knows that he's the best quarterback they have. And as I said, I'm sure I said before, if he knows, the team knows. The coaches know. Everybody knows. And that's why I think the offense don't give a damn about those quarterbacks that they sending out there before Shedeur. They ain't catching no balls. They don't want no stats. I think it's a protest going on. I think it's a protest going on by the team, and that we can't say nothing, we can't do nothing, but you ain't gonna get the best play out of us until Shedeur comes out. We ain't catching no balls. So I'm gonna see if that continues to Dylan. That'll tell the story. If they continue to drop balls, if Dylan ever get him a ball, throwing any distance, I'm gonna start believing that even more. They ain't trying to play for these quarterbacks until Shedeur get out there. We gotta let these quarterbacks lose so we can hurry up and get them off the field and get Shedeur out there, and maybe we can make a playoff run. So maybe they should, they won the defense, and special teams won the one game for them. Maybe they can win one more game for them so they could be 2-8. And then they still got time to save the season if Shedeur is him. I mean, it would be a Herculean feat, because Shedeur has lost games in his life, but he ain't never played with NFL caliber players before. He had a bad team. I don't know what he gonna look like. Well, we saw the Panthers game. So, I feel confident that no matter that the Browns are trying to break Shedeur and trying to make it palatable for them not to play him, yeah, that ain't working, bye-bye. Shedeur will play. But in the meantime, we got Dylan at 9:30 on Sunday. I'm very excited about that. Oh, and my nephew, Jimmy Horn Jr., is starting for the Panthers this week. They have injuries. I already told you all about Xavier, but I think he's back already. I think he's back Sunday, pretty sure. But they got another wide receiver that is injured, and he won't be playing. And so Jimmy is starting this week. He was already second team. That was impressive already for a 6th-round pick. But now he's starting this week for the Panthers, so I'm definitely watching them. Well, unless they come on at the same time as Jackson, well, I'll watch both games. I watched 2 games last week too. So I will watch Jackson Dart. I'm watching him, and I ain't never gonna miss a game with him. And I'm watching the Panthers for Jimmy Horn Jr. And I will recap it on the other side. Until then, y'all have a great weekend. And thanks for listening. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Mwah.